Have you ever wondered why some men can spend months trying to impress a woman and still feel like strangers, while others create a deep connection without forcing anything at all? It's a question that quietly sits in the minds of many men, because attraction often feels confusing. Words can mislead. Messages can be misinterpreted. Signals can feel mixed. And sometimes you were left wondering what she truly feels behind the smile, behind the conversation, behind the silence. But here is something powerful that most people never realize. Attraction rarely begins with dramatic moments. It begins with subtle emotional signals, quiet shifts in comfort, small changes in body language, signals so natural that many people completely overlook them. Human beings communicate far more through presence than through speech. Your body language, your energy, your calmness, your emotional stability, these things speak before your words even begin. And the human brain is constantly reading those signals, especially when it comes to trust. Because trust is the hidden doorway to attraction. Every person carries invisible boundaries around their body. These boundaries exist for protection. They are controlled by a part of the brain that constantly asks one silent question: am I safe here? When the brain senses discomfort, distance grows, the body pulls away, the conversation becomes cautious. But when the brain senses safety, everything begins to change. The body relaxes, the voice softens, eye contact lasts a little longer, and something else begins to happen that reveals a powerful truth about human psychology. Physical closeness starts to feel natural. When a woman feels emotionally comfortable around you, her brain slowly lowers its guard. This isn't your conscious decision. It happens beneath awareness. Her nervous system begins associating your presence with calmness instead of tension. Your presence starts to feel familiar. And familiarity is one of the strongest psychological triggers of attraction, because the brain loves what feels safe. This is why certain small gestures can reveal far more than long conversations ever could. A relaxed touch, a moment of physical closeness, a gesture that feels completely natural instead of forced. These moments may appear simple, but psychologically, they carry deep meaning. They signal emotional acceptance. They signal comfort. They signal trust. And trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Many men make the mistake of chasing attraction instead of understanding it. They try to impress. They try to prove themselves. They try to force attention. But real attraction rarely responds to pressure. In fact, pressure usually pushes people away. What draws people closer is emotional safety. When someone feels safe around you, their mind stops analyzing every detail. They stop guarding their personal space so tightly. Their body language opens naturally. And sometimes, in these moments of comfort, they allow physical closeness that would normally be reserved only for people they truly trust. That is when something important is already happening beneath the surface. Because when someone allows you into their personal space without hesitation, it means their emotional brain has already made a decision about you, not based on what you said, not based on what you tried to prove, but based on how you made them feel. And once someone begins associating you with feelings of safety, calm, and emotional comfort, attraction no longer needs to be chased. It begins to grow quietly on its own. That quiet growth of attraction reveals something most people completely overlook. The human brain does not decide trust through logic alone. It decides through feeling. Every moment you spend with someone sends emotional signals directly into their nervous system. Long before a woman consciously decides how she feels about you, her body has already started forming an answer. The mind is constantly observing. It notices your tone. It notices how calm you remain. It notices whether you create pressure or whether you create peace. These details may seem small, but psychologically they are powerful. The brain is always scanning the environment for emotional safety, and when it finds someone who feels stable, respectful, and grounded, it begins lowering its natural defenses. When those defenses lower, something subtle begins to change. Personal space becomes more flexible, or physical distance no longer feels necessary. The invisible wall that normally protects the body begins to soften. And this is where one of the strongest signals of emotional comfort appears. When a woman allows small forms of physical contact, like a relaxed touch on the arm during conversation, a comfortable hand connection, or a moment where her shoulder remains close to yours without pulling away her brain, is communicating something deeper than words. It is communicating acceptance. The human nervous system does not allow physical closeness easily. It protects that space carefully. Strangers are kept at a distance. People who feel uncertain are kept even farther away. But when someone feels emotionally safe, the body begins allowing closeness that would normally feel uncomfortable. This is not about manipulation or strategy. It is about understanding how attraction naturally unfolds when trust exists. Think about how the body reacts around someone who feels awkward or aggressive. There is tension. Muscles tighten. People instinctively lean back or create distance. The body's protecting itself. But when someone carries calm confidence and emotional awareness, the opposite happens. The environment becomes relaxed. Conversation flows naturally. Laughter appears without effort. And within that relaxed environment, physical closeness no longer feels strange, it feels natural. Psychologists understand this through something called emotional association. Your brain links people with the emotions you experience around them. If someone constantly creates stress, the brain labels them as discomfort. But if someone consistently creates calm, warmth, and positive energy, the brain begins associating them with safety. Once that association forms, the emotional walls protecting personal space slowly begin to open. This is why the most attractive presence you can develop is emotional steadiness, not loudness, not dominance, not performance. Real attraction grows around people who make others feel relaxed enough to be themselves. When a woman feels relaxed enough to lower her guard, her body language begins revealing what her words might never directly say. Her posture opens, her energy softens, and small gestures of comfortable touch may begin appearing without tension. These gestures are not random. They are signals from the emotional brain saying something powerful. They say that comfort has replaced caution. They say that trust is forming. They say that the connection between two people is no longer just surface level. It is moving deeper into a space where attraction is not forced, not chased, but quietly welcomed. When comfort replaces caution, the emotional atmosphere between two people begins to change in ways that are almost impossible to fake. The energy becomes lighter. Conversations feel effortless. Silence no longer feels awkward. Presence alone begins to carry meaning. This is where the real psychology of attraction starts revealing itself. Attraction is not created by trying to impress someone constantly. It is created by becoming someone whose presence feels emotionally safe. When a woman senses that she can relax around you, her brain slowly begins shifting how it categorizes you. You are no longer just another person in her environment. You become someone who makes her feel calm, understood, and comfortable. And the human brain is deeply drawn to comfort. The nervous system naturally moves toward people who reduce stress and increase emotional ease. This is why certain individuals feel magnetic without even trying. They do not chase attention. They do not force connection. Instead, they create an environment where others feel free to be themselves. When someone feels free around you, their body language begins expressing that freedom. The tension in their shoulders disappears. Their posture becomes open instead of guarded. Their laughter becomes genuine instead of polite. These signals may seem small, but they reveal something powerful happening beneath the surface. The emotional brain has started trusting you. Once trust begins forming, the invisible boundaries surrounding personal space slowly become less rigid. Physical closeness begins to feel normal instead intrusive. A brief touch on the arm during conversation no longer creates discomfort. Holding hands during a moment of connection feels natural rather than forced. Even small gestures like brushing against each other while walking together can happen without hesitation. These moments are not accidents. They are the body's way of expressing emotional acceptance. The human nervous system is extremely protective when it comes to touch. It does not allow closeness from people who create uncertainty or pressure. When someone crosses a boundary too quickly, the brain immediately reacts with resistance. But when closeness appears naturally through comfort and trust, the brain welcomes it. This is the difference between chasing attraction and allowing attraction to grow. Chasing creates tension. It makes interactions feel like performances. Every word feels calculated. Every action feels forced. But when you focus on emotional presence instead of performance, something powerful happens. The interaction becomes authentic. Authenticity removes pressure. And when pressure disappears, people feel safe enough to open themselves emotionally. This emotional openness is where attraction truly begins to deepen. Not through clever words or dramatic gestures, but through the simple experience of feeling understood and respected. When someone feels respected, they stop guarding every part of themselves. Their natural warmth begins to show. Their energy becomes more expressive. Their physical presence becomes more relaxed. And sometimes the relaxation appears through small forms of physical closeness that reveal a powerful psychological truth. It shows that the emotional brain no longer sees you as an outsider. It sees you as someone who belongs within that space of comfort and trust. Once someone begins feeling that level of emotional ease around you, attraction stops being a question that needs constant answers. It becomes a quiet certainty growing stronger with every moment of genuine connection. And when that quiet certainty begins to grow, something deeper starts shaping the connection between two people. Attraction stops feeling like a puzzle that needs to be solved. It starts feeling like a natural alignment of energy, trust, and emotional safety. The tension that normally surrounds romantic interactions fades away, replaced by a sense of ease that both people can feel. This is where many people finally begin to understand a powerful truth about human psychology. Attraction is not created by chasing approval. It is created by becoming someone whose presence feels emotionally steady. When you carry that kind of calm strength, people sense it instantly. They feel the difference between someone who needs validation and someone who simply exists with quiet confidence. That quiet confidence changes how others respond to you. When someone senses emotional stability in you, their mind stops analyzing every move. They stop questioning your intentions. Instead, they begin relaxing into the interaction. And relaxation is the doorway through which deeper connection enters. When a woman feels relaxed in your presence, her body language begins communicating openness without effort. Her movements become slower and more comfortable. Her eyes stay engaged. Her posture naturally faces you instead of turning away. The small, protective barriers people normally maintain begin to dissolve. In those moments, physical space starts to feel different. Standing close no longer feels intrusive. Sitting beside each other feels normal. A moment of physical contact during conversation no longer feels awkward. These shifts may appear subtle, but psychologically they represent a major change in how her brain perceives you. Her nervous system is no longer placing you in the category of uncertainty. It has started placing you in the category of trust. And when someone reaches that level of comfort, something remarkable begins to happen. The emotional brain begins associating you with positive feelings of calmness and security. Your presence becomes linked to emotional relief instead of emotional tension. The human brain remembers emotional relief very strongly. We are naturally drawn toward people who make us feel lighter inside, toward people who reduce the invisible stress we carry throughout our daily lives. When someone consistently creates that feeling of ease, their presence becomes valuable to the emotional mind. This is where genuine attraction quietly strengthens. Because attraction is not only about excitement, it is also about peace. It is about feeling like you do not have to guard yourself constantly. When someone provides that kind of emotional environment, their presence becomes something the brain wants more of. Within that environment of safety and comfort, physical closeness becomes a reflection of emotional trust rather than a forced attempt to create chemistry. A relaxed hand touch during a shared moment, a comfortable shoulder leaning slightly closer during conversation, a gesture that feels effortless instead of planned. These moments reveal something deeper than simple attraction. They reveal acceptance. They reveal that the emotional distance between two people is disappearing. And once emotional distance begins to fade, a connection moves into a space where attraction grows not through effort, but through the powerful human desire to stay close to someone who simply makes life feel calmer, warmer, and more genuine. And when someone begins associating you with that sense of calm and emotional warmth, a powerful psychological shift begins to take place. Your presence stops feeling ordinary. It starts feeling meaningful. The mind quietly marks you as someone different from the rest of the world around them. Most people move through life surrounded by noise, pressure, expectations, and emotional tension. Conversations often feel rushed. Interactions feel shallow. People wear masks just to get through the day. In that environment, a person who brings calm energy stands out in a way that words cannot fully describe. When you create an atmosphere where someone feels emotionally safe, you are offering something rare. You are offering peace. And the human heart is naturally drawn toward peace. That is why true attraction grows strongest in environments where someone feels understood rather than judged. When a woman senses that she does not have to defend herself emotionally around you, something inside her relaxes. Her mind stops searching for hidden motives. Her nervous system stops preparing for discomfort. Instead, she begins experiencing your presence as a place where she can simply exist. That feeling is incredibly powerful. When someone experiences that level of emotional comfort, their body begins responding in subtle ways. The distance they normally maintain between themselves and others begins shrinking without conscious thought. Their posture naturally leans closer during conversations. Their gestures become warmer. Their movements lose the stiffness that usually appears when people feel uncertain. And sometimes, in those moments of natural comfort, physical closeness appears in the simplest forms. A hand that remains close instead of pulling away. A relaxed touch that feels completely normal instead of awkward. A moment where physical contact happens naturally because neither person feels the need to create distance anymore. These moments are not created by force or clever techniques. They are the result of emotional trust reaching a point where closeness feels safe. The human brain protects personal space with incredible precision. When someone crosses that space without permission, the reaction is immediate. The body stiffens. The mind becomes alert. Distance returns instantly. But when someone enters that space naturally, through emotional comfort, the experience feels completely different. Instead of tension, there is warmth. Instead of hesitation, there is ease. And that ease reveals something powerful about the connection forming between two people. It shows that emotional safety has already been established. Once that level of safety exists, attraction no longer needs to struggle to survive. It grows quietly in the background, strengthened by every positive interaction, every shared laugh, every moment of calm presence. This is why the most magnetic individuals are not those who try the hardest to impress others. They are the ones who understand how to make others feel emotionally secure. They listen without judgment. They respect boundaries without hesitation. They carry themselves with steady confidence instead of restless need. And because of that emotional stability, others begin trusting them more deeply. When someone trusts you deeply enough to feel comfortable in your presence, physically and emotionally, it reveals something far more powerful than simple interest. It reveals that the connection between you has moved beyond curiosity. It has entered the rare space where genuine attraction begins to anchor itself in trust, comfort, and the quiet desire to stay close to someone who truly feels right. When attraction begins anchoring itself in trust and comfort, something remarkable starts unfolding beneath the surface of every interaction. The connection stops feeling fragile. It stops feeling like something that could disappear with one wrong word. Instead, it starts feeling grounded, stable, real. This is the moment where emotional presence becomes more powerful than appearance, more powerful than clever conversation, more powerful than any attempt to impress. Because once someone feels emotionally safe with you, your presence becomes associated with something deeper than attraction alone. It becomes associated with relief. Think about how rare emotional relief truly is in today's world. People carry stress everywhere: work pressure, social pressure, expectations, disappointment, fear of judgment. Most interactions feel like performances where everyone is trying to appear strong, interesting, or perfect. But when someone encounters a person who creates emotional ease, the effect is powerful. Their mind finally feels permission to relax. They stop overthinking every word they say. They stop worrying about how they appear. They stop guarding every part of themselves. Instead, they begin revealing their authentic self. When authenticity appears, connection grows stronger with incredible speed. Because real connection is not built between two masks. It is built between two people who feel safe enough to be genuine. And when that authenticity begins flowing between two people, their physical presence around each other changes in ways that are subtle but incredibly meaningful. Distance begins to disappear without either person consciously deciding it should. Sitting closer feels natural. Standing side by side feels comfortable. A moment of physical contact during conversation does not feel awkward or forced. It simply happens because both individuals feel emotionally relaxed. These small gestures reveal something the logical mind might overlook. They reveal trust that has already been established. Trust is not created by saying the right things. It is created by consistent emotional behavior. When someone senses that you respect boundaries, listen with attention, and carry calm confidence, their brain slowly registers you as someone safe to be around. Once that mental level forms, the emotional barriers protecting personal space begin lowering automatically. And when those barriers lower, the body communicates acceptance in quiet ways. A relaxed hand resting near yours without tension. A comfortable shoulder leaning slightly closer during conversation. A moment where physical closeness feels completely normal rather than uncertain. These signals are powerful because they come from the subconscious mind. They are not calculated decisions. They are emotional responses created by comfort and trust. This is why attraction that grows from emotional safety becomes incredibly strong. It is not dependent on constant validation or dramatic effort. It exists because two nervous systems feel calm in each other's presence. The human brain remembers that calm feeling deeply. It begins craving it. And the more often someone experiences the emotional comfort with you, the stronger the association becomes between your presence and their sense of peace. Over time, this association transforms attraction into something deeper. It becomes attachment. It becomes the quiet desire to stay close to the person who makes life feel lighter, easier, and emotionally safe. And when someone begins feeling that level of comfort around you, the connection between you is no longer just about curiosity or temporary chemistry. It becomes something the emotional mind wants to protect and keep close. And when the emotional mind begins wanting to protect that connection, the dynamic between two people changes in a profound way. The interaction is no longer driven by uncertainty. It begins to move with a quiet sense of mutual awareness. Both people start recognizing, even if they never say it out loud, that something real is forming between them. This is where attraction stops feeling like a game and starts feeling like alignment. Because real alignment happens when two people feel emotionally understood in each other's presence. When someone senses that you are not trying to control them, impress them, or pressure them into feeling something, their defenses dissolve. The mind relaxes because it no longer feels the need to protect itself. And once the mind relaxes, the body follows. Human psychology works through patterns of comfort and association. The brain is constantly deciding where it feels most at ease. When it repeatedly experiences calmness around a specific person, it begins to label that person as a source of emotional stability. That label is incredibly powerful. It means your presence is no longer neutral. Your presence has emotional value. Being around you becomes something the mind looks forward to because it knows what it will receive in return: peace, warmth, and a sense of genuine connection. This emotional value slowly changes how someone behaves around you. Their guard lowers more quickly. Their laughter becomes easier. Their conversations become deeper. They start sharing parts of themselves that they normally keep hidden from the outside world. And as that emotional openness expands, something subtle begins happening with physical space. The distance between you becomes smaller without effort. Sitting beside each other begins to feel more comfortable than sitting apart. Standing close during conversation feels natural instead of awkward. Physical closeness becomes simply another expression of emotional safety. These moments reveal something powerful about the connection taking shape. They show that trust has already crossed an important threshold. The human nervous system does not casually allow people into its personal space. That space is guarded by instinct. If someone feels uncertain or uncomfortable, the body immediately reacts by creating distance. But when someone feels calm, understood, and respected, the nervous system stops sending those defensive signals. Instead of pulling away, it relaxes, and in that relaxed state, small gestures of closeness begin to appear naturally. A brief touch that feels warm instead of intrusive, a hand that stays close without hesitation, a shoulder that remains comfortably beside yours because neither person feels the need to move away. These gestures might appear simple on the surface, but psychologically they carry deep meaning. They reveal that the emotional mind has already accepted your presence in a more intimate space. That acceptance cannot be forced. It can only be earned through emotional consistency. When someone repeatedly experiences patience, calm energy, and genuine respect from you, their mind begins trusting that your presence will not bring harm or pressure. Instead, it brings comfort. And once someone begins associating your presence with comfort, attraction deepens in a way that feels natural, stable, and incredibly powerful. Because attraction built on emotional safety does not fade quickly. It grows stronger every time two people share the quiet experience of simply feeling right in each other as presence. And when two people begin experiencing that quiet feeling of simply being right around each other, the connection reaches a level that cannot be created through effort alone. It becomes something deeper than attraction. It becomes emotional harmony. A state where both minds begin to recognize the same truth without needing constant reassurance. Because the human heart does not chase what feels forced. It stays close to what feels natural. This is why the strongest connections in life rarely feel complicated. They feel calm. They feel effortless. Not because there is no emotion involved, but because both people feel safe enough to let their guard down completely. When that emotional safety exists, the interaction between two people begins to carry a quiet strength. Conversations become more genuine. Eye contact becomes more meaningful. Silence itself becomes comfortable rather than awkward. And in those moments of comfort, the body expresses something the mind may not openly say. Closeness begins to feel right. Physical presence becomes an extension of emotional connection rather than something separate from it. Standing near each other feels natural. Sitting side by side feels normal. Even small forms of physical contact carry warmth instead of hesitation. These signals matter because the body rarely lies. Words can be polite. Words can be cautious. Words can hide uncertainty. But body language reveals emotional truth. When a woman feels truly safe around you, her nervous system stops sending signals that create distance. Instead, it allows closeness to exist without discomfort. Her posture becomes relaxed. Her movements become open. Her presence around you becomes softer and more natural. These changes may appear subtle, but they reveal something incredibly important about the emotional space you have created. You become someone she feels at ease with. And emotional ease is one of the most powerful forms of attraction that exists. Because deep inside, every person is searching for the same experience. They want to be around someone who allows them to feel calm in a chaotic world. Someone who does not demand perfection. Someone who does not create pressure. Someone whose presence simply feels safe. When you become that presence in someone else's life, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something that naturally grows around the emotional environment you create. The more someone experiences peace in your presence, the more their mind begins associating you with emotional relief. And emotional relief is incredibly valuable to the human brain. People instinctively move closer to those who reduce their stress and increase their sense of calm. They want to remain near the source of that feeling. They want to protect it. They want to keep it in their life. This is why genuine attraction is never built on tricks or manipulation. It is built on emotional authenticity. on the ability to remain grounded, respectful, and calm in every interaction. When someone feels that level of emotional stability from you, their trust deepens naturally, their comfort grows stronger. And the quiet gestures of closeness that appear between you begin reflecting something powerful, not temporary interest, not curiosity, but the early signs of a connection rooted in trust, warmth, and the quiet human desire to stay close to the person who makes life feel just a little more peaceful. When someone begins experiencing that deep sense of comfort in your presence, the way they perceive you transforms completely. You are no longer just another person in their environment. You become someone their emotional brain recognizes as safe, reliable, and aligned with their sense of ease. This recognition is subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but it shapes every interaction that follows. Every glance, every gesture, every slight movement of their body carries meaning without words. It is a silent confirmation that they feel emotionally connected and understood. The human mind is wired to respond to emotional cues long before logic catches up. When a woman senses that you create safety and warmth, her nervous system begins relaxing instinctively. Muscles loosen. Breathing becomes steadier. Small movements, even posture, begin reflecting trust rather than tension. Her presence starts conveying something profound. She feels secure enough to let down the barriers she normally keeps so carefully maintained. Physical closeness in these moments is not accidental. It is a direct reflection of psychological trust. A gentle touch, a shared laugh that brings shoulders closer, a hand that remains near without hesitation. These are not mere gestures. They are the emotional brain signaling that the connection has reached a level of comfort and security few people allow to develop naturally. Every subtle movement communicates consent, openness, and a willingness to engage more deeply. True attraction thrives in this environment. It does not require performance, tricks, or attempts to impress. It grows quietly because one person has become a source of stability, calm, and respect. The presence of someone who embodies these qualities triggers a powerful psychological effect. The mind starts associating them with safety, ease, and even happiness. Each interaction strengthens that association, creating a magnetic pull that is rooted not in superficial desire, but in the profound human need for emotional security. When emotional safety is established, hesitation fades. Distance shrinks naturally. Moments of physical closeness begin to feel effortless. Leaning in during conversation, sharing light touches, maintaining comfortable proximity all become extensions of a deeper connection. These gestures are not performed for effect. They are organic responses to the comfort and trust already present. They are the silent proof that attraction has moved beyond curiosity into a realm where emotional connection governs the interaction. This connection carries extraordinary power because it aligns with the way the human brain naturally seeks relationships. People are drawn to those who reduce tension and create stability. The emotional mind craves comfort, and when someone consistently provides that, they are no longer just a presence, they become a safe harbor. Attraction rooted in this way is enduring because it is built on something far stronger than fleeting chemistry. It is anchored in trust, respect, and emotional resonance. The subtlety of these signals is their strength. They require no words, no declarations, no demonstrations. The brain notices them, the nervous system responds. The heart feels the difference. When someone allows these small, natural forms of closeness, it is an acknowledgement of emotional safety and, more than that, a silent declaration that the connection matters to them. When you understand and embody this principle, you stop chasing attraction. You stop seeking approval. You stop trying to impress. Instead, you become someone who creates an environment where trust, comfort, and natural closeness can flourish. And in that environment, true attraction not only emerges, it grows quietly, powerfully, and inevitably, signaling that the bond between you has moved far beyond surface-level connection and is anchored deeply in emotional alignment.